Still ahead, community activist Sabrina Cohen is very well known in circles around South Florida, and now she's making quite an impact on the national scene. How does she do it? Her amazing story next. Welcome back, everyone. A very special honor for one of our own, living right here in South Florida. Sabrina Cohen is a role model extraordinaire whose car accident that left her unable to walk. She's been reaching out to teens to think twice about their decisions and also making strides to help researchers open new doors for those with paralysis. And Sabrina is featured on the, well, not quite on the cover, but in a fantastic position in the magazine, of Self magazine, as one of the women doing good in 2012. This is so wonderful. I mean, you do so much. You don't do it for the headlines, but you know, it's an inspiring article. You're here with amazing people in the country. I've heard so much about you for many years, so finally we get to meet.
Thank you.
You know, we talk a lot these days about mindful living, being aware, and this has been a message of yours since you were a teenager, because your life changed in a second. What happened that day?
Well, at the time I was 14 years old. I was an extremely healthy, athletic young teenager, and like most teens, I made plans to go out one evening with a best friend of mine with some other kids from high school that we really didn't know, jumped in a vehicle with 3 boys from my high school, Miami Beach Senior High, and another girlfriend of ours, and literally within minutes they took off drag racing. We were in 2 cars. I was in the back seat, no seatbelt, and took off 90 miles per hour down Alton Road, which, as you may know, is one of the most dangerous streets in Miami Beach, and the other car lost control, hit the car that I was in, and we slammed into a tree, and I just, in a second, became a quadriplegic and paralyzed from the neck down.
And incredibly also, you were the only one so seriously injured in the accident.
I was 1 out of 6 kids, yes.
And how do you walk away from that and be here so strong and fantastic and so doing more in life than so many? Was it a long journey to get to here?
I could definitely tell you it was an extremely long journey. I am probably the most confident I've ever been in my life at this stage in my life at 34. Because as you can imagine, as a teenager,
yes,
being in a wheelchair and having to have full-time assistance is was very difficult for my image. But thankfully, with all the love and support from my family, my friends, my teachers, and our community, has just been so encouraging. So how could I not go on?
Yeah. I had the privilege of interviewing Christopher Lee Reeves, who was one of my heroes forever in life and to the very end, you know. And he was so focused. In fact, many say he put at risk his own health to try to find cures and advancements in paralysis. Tell me how involved you are in that now.
Well, I have always been a very outspoken advocate pretty much since day one. Months, not even months, weeks after I went back to school, my principal asked me if I would talk to the high school, to the senior kids about reckless driving and making the right decisions. So for the past 20 years, really, I've been talking to elementary and high school kids all across South Florida and beyond.
And maybe they relate to you, because when parents tell kids don't do it, you know, it's so easy to say, well, why would you even get in a car with a stranger? But we all know when we're kids, you know, you're just beginning to date and all, and you do things like that.
Well, I've never made it my point to preach my message, but rather share my story and hopefully inspire and encourage kids just to think about the decisions that they make. And so that's been a very important message on the side of prevention, and then on the side of, you know, hopefully reversing paralysis and research. I started my foundation in 2006 to really just put all my efforts and my network and the best people that I know together to help fund this very important field that needs money and education.
And in the short term, I wonder, I know in all our segments we bring up the economy these days because it is a nexus with so much. And I know, I mean, every time there's a battle for funds, some of the few places that help folks who don't have resources, that can't maybe have houses, that can't have the right kind of wheelchair, is that a crying need?
Absolutely, on so many levels, because beyond the research, there's so much, you know, care for right now, today. What can we do to help people today?
Yes.
And I think that education, that's why to me education is so much part of the conversation. It's not just let's look at how to to solve this problem, but what do we do today?
Yes.
While we're waiting for the solution.
Yeah, because there's so many people who are still in the tunnel of that journey, and just making a difference of having a house that you can be independent in.
Yes.
You know, I think that it's all about human dignity, whoever we are. I wondered, did you ever contact or come face to face with the kids who were in that car that day?
I actually did. It was a very difficult time for me and my best friend, as you can imagine, because there's a lot of emotions involved. So our friendship was a little shaky after the injury, and then probably about 7 years ago, I reached out to the driver of the vehicle I was in, and I was going through a lot of transformation in my life and forgiveness, and I called him up, and it was a very interesting conversation, but basically forgave him. As I was an adult and I was able to do that.
There's so many issues, and there's such lessons that we all can so learn from. So we're thrilled to share Sunday morning with you.
Thank you so
Please
much.
come back and visit
Thank
with
you.
us again, because we want to help you get your message out there.
Thank you.
And just as I said, an honor to meet you, and we're just delighted that you are shining
Thank
in
you.
Self Magazine, because you treat us all to learn to take care of ourselves.
No matter what, that's the bottom line. Believe in yourself, take care of yourself, and just live your life.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sabrina.
You're so welcome.
Have a
Thank
beautiful
you.
Sunday.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us this Sunday morning. We will look for you again next week as we put our world into focus. Have a great day, everybody.